Affectionate greetings to all who would see this video on the Christmas day. I welcome you to the meaning of Christmas, which commemorates the birth of Jesus Christ. What does Christmas mean to us? Or what should Christmas mean to us? As a preface to what I have to share with you, let me make a reference to a universal feature of human nature. I have to say this because this is basic to understanding what has gone wrong with our idea and celebration of Christmas. Human nature has a basic and universal tendency to invent substitutes. Something of profound significance happens. It means a lot to humankind as a whole, and the significance of this cannot be rejected, or the event cannot be rejected, and therefore it has to be commemorated. But there is a problem. The problem is we do not want to understand and accept the real invitation or challenge that the significant event poses to us. Because accepting what the significance urges us to be means undergoing radical changes, which is not acceptable to the vast majority of people because human nature is under the tyranny of a principle called inertia. I repeat, human nature is under the tyranny of inertia. Inertia means staying as such, staying where you are. In simple terms, the unbreakable inclination to stay where one is, stay put, or the profound allergy to changes, and particularly positive changes. Decay or degeneration is also a change. That's acceptable, but change for the better, ironically, is not acceptable to human beings because that involves a struggle to rise above where we are and to maintain oneself at that higher level. This seems a daunting task which is not acceptable to human nature, and therefore, what does one do, or what do? We don't want to say that such a thing has not happened. At the same time, we do not want to accept its profound sense, significance, or meaning. And the only thing, therefore, we can do is to invent a substitute for it. For example, Christmas signifies the birth of Jesus Christ. Now, the birth of Jesus Christ is a challenge to every human being without any reference to religion, caste, creed, culture, gender, etc. But we don't want to accept the challenging significance of the birth and therefore the life and work of Jesus Christ. At the same time, we want to celebrate it. But in our celebration, we deny the significance of Jesus Christ. So today we have Christmas without Christ. It is like uh, staging the great play Hamlet without the Prince of Denmark. So, on this Christmas day, let's try and understand what the event of Christmas truly means to us or should mean to us. Let me begin by quoting a few words of Jesus Christ. Jesus said, "Truly, truly, I say to you, unless you turn back and become like children, you shall in no wise enter the kingdom of God." Put very simply, Christmas is an invitation to turn back and become like children. I repeat, Christmas is an invitation to turn back and become like children. Now, the question is, what does it mean to turn back and become like children? There are very many people who associate childhood with foolishness, immaturity, self centeredness, so on and so forth, or a state that's blissfully free of responsibilities. That's not the sense in which Jesus uses the symbol of childhood. And the true meaning that Jesus ascribes to this symbol can be found out only from the totality of his teachings. I am today absolutely convinced that what Jesus meant when he said that you should turn back and become like children is that you should begin anew and grow continuously. What is it that you associate with childhood? I'm a father of two. I raised two children. I tell you, from the day of their birth until they attained at least their youth, or at least the time they entered their teens, every day I was mindful of their growth, all round growth, not just physical growth, mental growth, spiritual growth. Nothing mattered to me in the world, or nothing mattered to me in relation to my children, except facilitating conditions, circumstances conducive to their all round growth. So I associate childhood only with growth. If you turn back and become like children, you realize your need to grow. Now, then you would say that children are not aware of their need to grow. It's parents who are aware of their needs to aware of their need to grow. You're right. But that's first childhood. This is second childhood. That's why Jesus says you must turn back and become like children. He doesn't say you should become children. You should say, he says you should become like children. And what is that similarity between you and the new you and children? Just like children grow, the milestones of their growth, the amazing pace and profundity with which they grow. Those who have studied the growth of children scientifically, they say that what a child learns in the first 6 years of his or her life is greater than what a person learns through the rest of his or her life until he or she reaches the age of 60. That is to say, the first 6 years, in terms of the growth of a child, are greater than the remaining 54 years of that person's life. That's the significance of growth. And yet, in none of the interpretations that I have read of Jesus as saying that you turn back and become like children has it been mentioned that what Jesus actually means is the importance of your growth. This itself is significant, and I leave it to you to ponder over that significance and to understand, investigate more of it. So let's fix it very clearly in our mind that Christmas really, if we are celebrating Jesus Christ, should mean an invitation to each one of us to grow to a full stature, or as Jesus said, grow to fullness of life, or life in all its fullness, as is found in the 10th verse of the 10th chapter of the Gospel according to St. John. Now, having fixed this central theme, namely the true meaning of Christmas is that it is a challenging invitation for each one of us to become like children in the sense that the hallmark of childhood, the insignia of childhood, the exciting significance of childhood is the need to grow and to grow and to grow to the amazing fullness of our incredible potentialities and possibilities. Let's fix that very clearly in our minds. And then consider the three dimensions of this growth as Jesus himself stated. Now, in the fourth chapter of the Gospel according to St. Luke, verse 18, we read three aspects of Jesus' public ministry. And Jesus came to minister to human growth in the sense in which growth is envisaged, understood in the spiritual vision of life. And this is very easy to remember. Let me very quickly explain through the rest of the time that's left to us these three dimensions. First of all, Jesus says, I have come to preach the good news to the poor. I've come to preach the good news to the poor. Now, the poor that Jesus has in mind is the poor in spirit. And that's very clear from the Beatitudes. The very first Beatitude, blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Now, what is, pardon me, what is the blessedness of the spiritual poverty? The blessedness of the spiritual poverty, make no doubt about it, is the awareness of one's limitations. There are two types of people in this world, or people in this world can be classified in two categories. The first is those who are completely unaware of their limitations, or those who think that they have everything that they need for themselves, that they're sufficient unto themselves, they're equal to the destiny that they have to live out, and they don't need God, they don't need anybody else, and they have earned, gathered up, garnered enough resources for them to bank on and live without want for the rest of their life. And Jesus has given us a parable of that kind, the parable of the rich fool. Since that is quite a familiar parable, I'm not going to expatiate on it or explain the details of it. I merely flag that parable and move on. So, the poor in the spirit, unlike people of this category, and the vast majority of the people either are or apt to be in this category, as the parable of the rich fool indicates, when he was not wealthy, he was aware of his limitations, therefore he worked hard. His land produced an abundant harvest. Then he became, in his own eyes, sufficient unto himself, and then he forgot God. In other words, he forgot his limitations. Now, what makes us turn towards God and realize our need to depend on God is our limitations. The moment a person thinks that he is in all respects sufficient unto himself, he is quite apt to forget God. There's a song in Tamil which says, நினைப்பதெல்லாம் நடந்து விட்டால் தெய்வம் ஏதுமில்லை. It simply means if whatever we think of, whatever we desire is attainable, then God means nothing to us. So, in other words, material prosperity breeds a state in which we are unaware of our spiritual poverty. What is important for human beings, if we want to stay human, is to be continually aware of our spiritual poverty, which is not mitigated by material wealth. The universal misunderstanding is that the acquisition of material wealth will mitigate spiritual poverty, which is utterly foolish. It doesn't concur with the realities of the existential realities of life. In fact, the universal situation is that materially the richer you are, spiritually the poorer you are, but They don't realize their misery. They go on trying to hide themselves from the reality, the miserable plight of their human predicament. In contrast to this, Jesus says, "Blessed are the poor in spirit," because once you are aware of your poverty, you will do something about it. The good thing about Zacchaeus, whose story is found in the 19th chapter of Luke's Gospel, is that in spite of his tremendous wealth, he was the richest man in the town. In spite of his tremendous wealth, he became aware of his limitations. So he experienced the poverty of his spirit, which made him desire to see the Galilean, and the rest is history. So, blessed are the poor in spirit. You find Zacchaeus growing in stature. The moment he encountered Jesus, he turned back and became like a child. And he started growing and growing and growing. And right in front of your eyes, if you read the parable carefully and attentively, you will see this man rising in stature. It's an amazing parable if you look at it as a parable on human growth. So, what made the difference between the miserable Zacchaeus, who became richer and richer, and more miserable as he became richer, and the Zacchaeus, after he encountered Jesus, is that he became aware of his limitations, he became aware of his spiritual poverty, therefore he did something about it, and he attained a state of blessedness. So, blessed are the poor in spirit. So, Christmas is an invitation for us to turn back and become like children, in the sense that the foremost need of childhood is to grow. And certainly, one aspect in respect to which we have to grow is growing out of our state of spiritual deprivation, spiritual poverty, our limitations, our multifarious limitations of which today we are unaware. And in fact, if somebody makes us aware of our limitations, we feel resentful and we feel like retorting, or if not retorting, at least defending our limitations and convincing everyone and ourselves that staying in that state of limitation is perhaps the best thing for us, which is suicidal folly. So, Christmas is an invitation to become aware of our limitations. Now, limitations are many, and to grow out of them. But I have to state the positive aspect of this. We have to understand the concept of limitations not in a worldly way but in a spiritual way. In a spiritual sense, limitation is a very positive concept. Why is it positive? Because limitations exist only because we have tremendous possibilities. There is a direct correlation between limitation and possibility. Now, for example, the possibilities of a rat, the possibilities of a dog, the possibilities of a tiger are limited. Therefore, its limitations are few. Human limitations are incredible, almost infinite, because we are created in the image and likeness of God. And therefore, our limitations are acute. So, when I talk about becoming aware of our limitations, I really mean to say that we should become aware of our possibilities, which is something that Jesus continually underlines and affirms when he says, if you have faith as large as a mustard seed, you will ask the mountain to move and it will move. This is not a statement to be understood literally. What it means is that you will realize, if you have faith, that your possibilities are almost godlike, divine. And realizing that, we become aware of our limitations. If we are not aware of our potentialities, our great, exciting possibilities, then we are not aware of our limitations. If we think that we are only, another limited member of the animal kingdom, then we are not aware of our possibilities, and then we are not aware of our limitations, and therefore we are not aware of our poverty, spiritual poverty. Therefore, we will never understand what it means to be spiritually poor. So the saying that blessed are the poor in spirit makes no sense so long as we value in the animal like condition and remain willfully and resolutely unaware of our great potentialities and therefore also our limitations amidst uh, which we live today. So, this is the one thing that I want to make as clear as I possibly can. So, Christmas is an invitation to grow out of our limitations, which is possible only when we realize the incredible, the miraculous, the nearly divine possibilities and potentialities that we have. So basically, Christmas is a celebration of those possibilities as well as an invitation or an exhortation to move in that direction, so that Jesus is teaching that life in all its fullness is the birthright of human beings can become a reality, a meaningful reality. The second aspect of Christmas as an invitation to grow is what Jesus means by saying, I have come to open the eyes of the blind. Open the eyes of the blind. Now, blindness in this context has mainly two meanings or two dimensional meanings. First is the eyes to see our own great possibilities. Open your eyes. Open your eyes that you may see who you really are. Today, the assumptions that you harbor about yourself are all wrong. They are far away from the truth about yourself. You're far more exciting, you're far more worthwhile, far more beautiful as a human being, far more capable, far more potentially fruitful than you think you are. You're not doing justice to yourself. Open your eyes and see the incredible possibilities within you. And this is true even of the lowliest, the lost, and the least. The last person in the human chain still has possibilities that are immense. Such a person may have far greater hindrances to overcome, but still the possibilities do exist. So, this is the first aspect of opening the eyes of the blind. Today, we are blind in respect of ourselves. What a piteous blindness it is. I can cite many instances from the four Gospels, but that time will get out of hand. I leave that that part of our uh, investigation to my viewers. The second aspect of the second thing that happens when our eyes are opened is that we will see the beauty of others as well as the needs of others. Jesus Christ is described as the light of the world. What's the function of light? To me, light illumines the beauty of everything. Nothing is beautiful but for light. Nothing is beautiful but for light. To me, the primary function of light is to reveal the beauty of everyone and everything. Life is beautiful. Life is beautiful. Life is beautiful. But unless you have that light within you to see the beauty of light, you will not believe what I say. Yes, there are problems. Yes, there is darkness. Yes, there is death. Yes, there is destitution. There is misery. There is human cussedness. There is cruelty. There is the darkness of human wickedness. Yes, this world is suffocated with depravity and degradation. Yes, but in the midst of it all, light shines. Light shines out of the heart of darkness. When that light shines, you will know that life is beautiful. That in spite of everything that has happened, in spite of the degradation and the depravity that today characterize human nature, in spite of the mountainous misery that human beings create for God alone knows what reasons, life is still beautiful. And no force in the world can destroy or even sully permanently the beauty that God through creation has ascribed to life. God's creation is beautiful. It's full of light. It's full of light. It's full of light. And Christmas is an invitation to recognize that beauty, that greatness, that glory. God is present everywhere. As Elizabeth Barrett Browning in her lovely poem says, the earth is crushed under the burden of God's presence. God's light illumines the whole of creation. The only piteous thing is that we don't have the eyes to see it. So, this is a second aspect of the Christmas that we are to celebrate, the ability to see the beauty of life. First, I said the ability to see the great potentialities and possibilities that today remain dormant within ourselves, to which we remain blissfully unaware, thereby failing to do justice to ourselves. The second aspect of this opening of the eyes that Christmas means is that we are able to see the beauty of life and see everybody around. How will you love your neighbor? The second commandment, love your neighbor as yourself. How will you love your neighbor if you don't see the beauty of your neighbor? And how will you help loving your neighbor? How can you not love your neighbor if you see the beauty of your neighbor? It's the beauty of everything that we need to see. It's the beauty of nature that we have to see. It's the beauty of the enemy that we have to see. It's the beauty of the neighbor that we have to see. It's the beauty of everything. Jesus said, behold the lilies of the field. See the beauty of it. Behold the birds in the air. See the beauty of the bird taking off, flying in the air. See the beauty of everything. Instead, we have developed a special capacity to see the ugliness of everything. And that's the condemnation under which we suffer today. So this is the second aspect of Christmas. To me, Christmas is an invitation to open my eyes and see what I never dared to see, what I never cared to see, what I never could see before. My eyes are opened, my eyesight is restored, and I see the whole world in a different light. In a different light. Jesus said, I am the light of the world. The third aspect, Jesus said, I've come to set the captives free. What is this captivity, my dear friends? Let me put it this way. Human beings are in a state of captivity to the animal-like instincts and impulses. In saying this, I'm guided by the state of misery that St. Paul expresses so memorably, so frankly, so truthfully in the letter to Romans, where he says, I know the good that I have to do, but I don't have the willpower to do the good that I desire to do. Instead, I do the evil that I hate. If I cannot do the good that I know I should do and desire to do, but do only the evil that I despise doing, then surely I am a slave to a principle that's at work in my members, and it designates that the principle of death. So I am in a state of slavery to this principle of death. That's what St. Paul says. An apostle says this, that is in a state of slavery. He's a slave. He's not a slave of the Roman Empire. He's not a slave of a particular political ideology. He's a slave of a particular state within himself, the animal-like existence. He is free to do only whatever is animal-like. He cannot rise above the animal level and attain the dignity of true humanity, envisaged by God and created in His own image and likeness. That is true captivity. The inability to express ourselves truly and adequately, and I would say beautifully, as human beings. It's a captivity from which all of us, including the one who is today sharing his heart and life with you, we all suffer from this. If we are honest with ourselves, We all need redemption from this. We need to outgrow this animal like state and become truly human. The one thing that universally those who are supposed to be human beings have not attained is the dignity of human or of becoming human, which is the highest attainment in life. No matter how much wealth you gather, even if you are an Elon Musk, the richest man on planet Earth, even if you are one among the 10 great, most powerful billionaires in the world, if you have not attained the dignity of being human, then it means nothing to you. All that you have achieved is of no worth, no relevance, no consequence, no meaning. It avails you nothing. All these things have no reference to your being human. I'm not saying that we have to scorn material wealth, you have to become ascetics, and you have to disappear into the thick forest or go to the topmost mountain, etc. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying yes, you have all the wealth in the world, you have all the amenities in the world. Doesn't matter. But what do all these things mean or amount to or add up to if you are still an animal within yourself? These are the possessions of animals, not human beings. If after having $100 billion, you still $100 billion worth of wealth in India, an Indian still wants to cheat others, both within the country and outside, as in the case of Gautam Adani, I have no hesitation in taking the name, then are you a human being or are you an animal? This is not a problem for Adani alone. If today I cannot live according to my highest instincts, highest intuitions, and higher standards as revealed by Jesus Christ, all of which are meant to challenge us to move from where we are, from our animal state, and to ascend to the state of being truly human. All the teachings of Jesus Christ. If you distill the teachings of Jesus Christ and look at the quintessence of his meanings, you will come to this conclusion. It is nothing but a sustained and inspiring invitation to outgrow the animal state in which we are and to attain the dignity and the beauty, the supreme worth of being truly human. Therefore, let me conclude by saying that Christmas is ultimately nothing but a glorious invitation to be human and to be fully and beautifully human. That's why there is light. The star is only a symbol. The star is a symbol of light, and that light is later on identified with Jesus Christ. And that light must reveal the beauty of life. And let me finally say the concluding words. In all that I have said to you so far, tell me where religion comes in. The beauty of Christmas, the universality of Christmas is that it is completely 100% free of religion. Because no religion will teach you, no religion is concerned about making you outgrow your spiritual poverty and attaining your blessed state. No religion is really interested in opening your eyes. Rather, religions thrive by intensifying your darkness with the weight of superstitions, because superstitions alone are profitable. They alone sell in the market and fetch a huge profit. No religion is interested in setting you free. Rather, religion confines you and holds you within its enclave and diminishes the scope of your freedom. It becomes another form of slavery. And the greatest, most tragic irony in the history of humanity is that in the name of Jesus Christ, who came to set the captives free, another religion has been created, a religion that further intensifies human slavery and prevents people from becoming human. The exact uh, size and scope of this tragedy is not understood by people because So long as your eyes are shut against God's purposes in creation, and so long as you remain completely confined to the arguments, the assumptions, and the presuppositions of the enclave to which you belong, you will never become aware of this larger reality. And therefore, any perspective offered from that vantage point will strike you as blasphemous or rebellious or dangerous or whatever. And that's the reason, of course, why Jesus was crucified. Therefore, let me also say this Christmas is not a simple, sentimental, and poetic event. It's also an event already riddled with sinister overtones. Because Jesus was born, 2000 male children were butchered. And the shadow of the cross is already on the cradle of Jesus Christ. That's the profundity, the tragic profundity of Christmas, because Christmas also reflects the profound and sobering realities of the world, which are now sought to be drowned in liquor and in the kind of materialistic celebration of ale and cake and Christmas cards and carols and the rest of it, all of which constitute a hiding place from the challenging invitation of Christmas to outgrow the animal like state in which we are and to attain, as I said several times already, but I cannot help repeating it, to attain the beautiful, incomparable dignity of being fully and profoundly human. Therefore, Jesus is the tidings of great gladness for all of humanity. It is not a religious event. It is not a religious event. It is not a Christian event. Jesus Christ was not a Christian. Jesus Christ did not create Christianity. Jesus Christ did not create church. Jesus was the light that illumined humanity. You will accept him only in that light. You can accept him only in that light. And if you turn to Jesus Christ in any other manner, you are not turning to Jesus Christ. You are turning to a fake Jesus Christ, a counter Jesus Christ, um, an alternate Jesus Christ, a counterfeit Jesus Christ, invented by people for their own benefit, according to their own limitations, their own partial and parochial nature, and the truth is not in this. Jesus is truth, Jesus is the way, Jesus is life, Jesus is also the light, and Jesus is nothing but an invitation for all human beings to grow and to grow and to grow until they appropriate for themselves the highest blessing of all, life in all its fullness. Life in all its fullness. Life in all its fullness. I wish I could embrace each one of you and hug you and say, life in all its fullness. May you have life in all its fullness. Thank you, and have a great year ahead, a year of life in all its fullness.